Hello everyone, today I'm going to talk about trigonometric identities, or in short, trig identities. Let me start off with a right triangle. As you probably already know, a right triangle is a triangle that has one angle 90 degrees. So let's label that angle. So let's say this is my 90-degree angle. And also let's label the triangle. Let's call it triangle A, B, and C. And then I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to define this angle B, or call this angle B as theta. Okay. Now let's talk about the sides. Opposite to the 90-degree angle, which is side BC, we call it hypotenuse. You probably know it from Pythagorean theorem. So that's hypotenuse, in this case BC. Now let's look at the angle theta, or angle B. So angle theta, the side touching the angle theta or making the angle theta is called adjacent. So I'm going to call it adjacent. So my adjacent is going to be side AB. And the side opposite to angle theta or opposite to angle B is my opposite. And let's label it as opposite, which is side AC. Now, based on this definition, I'm going to talk about a few things. So let's look at the triangle and try to find out few things. What I'm going to do, I'm going to find the ratio of the sides. So let's take the ratios of each pair of sides. Okay. Now let's start off with AB, which is the adjacent in our diagram, over, let's say, BC. And then I'm gonna take AC over, let's say, BC. And then I'm going to take the ratio of the sides opposite over adjacent, or AC over AB. AC over AB. So these are the three ratios. By the way, how many different ways can you take the ratios? It's going to be 6 different ways. Okay. So I have taken these 3. Now I'm going to flip this, okay, to get the other ratios. So let's say BC over AB. So look, here I have AB over BC, or AB divided by BC. Now here I have BC divided by AB. Now I'm gonna take the reciprocal of this as well, or flip it, right? So it's gonna be BC over AC, and then similarly AB over AC. So AB over AC. Now look at this. AB over BC. AB, which is this side, right, over BC, which is, by the way, nothing but adjacent over hypotenuse. So adjacent over hypotenuse. And that is with respect to the angle theta. Remember that. If my angle theta were to be angle C, then my adjacent would be AC and my opposite is going to be AB. But let's keep it simple for now. So with respect to the theta, I have adjacent over hypotenuse, or AB over BC, which is the hypotenuse. And now I define it, or I call it cosine of theta. Cosine of theta. That means adjacent over hypotenuse. Now similarly, opposite over hypotenuse, which is this one, AC over BC. So AC is this side, BC is this side. So that is opposite over hypotenuse, and I call it, or I define it, sine of theta. And the last one in this row is AC over AB. So AC is the opposite and AB is the adjacent. So we are going to have opposite over adjacent, which, by the way, is going to be something which you are going to call tangent of theta. Tangent of theta. Just one quick observation. If you take this ratio, okay, and this ratio, so let's say we divide this ratio by this ratio, you get opposite over hypotenuse. And let me just quickly show you on the side. So what you have right here is opposite over hypotenuse, opposite over hypotenuse divided by this guy, which is adjacent over hypotenuse, right? Now, if you simplify it, this hypotenuse and hypotenuse is going to cancel out. That's going to give you opposite over adjacent, which is exactly what we have. Now, right away, we could do something here. Tangent of theta is actually this opposite over hypotenuse. Opposite over hypotenuse is sine of theta, is going to be sine of theta divided by adjacent over hypotenuse, which is this one, that is cosine of theta. So this is cosine of theta. Now let's go ahead and talk about this. AB over BC, and reciprocal of that, or opposite of that, is BC over AB, which is technically is going to be 1 over cosine of theta. And we give it a special name. We call it secant of theta. SEC, secant of theta. And the same way, this is going to be 1 over sine of theta. That is going to be what we call cosecant of theta. We write it as CSC theta because we just flip it, right? That's what it is. And similarly, this is going to be sort of like reciprocal of tangent of theta, 1 over tangent of theta, which is called, by the way, cotangent of theta. So all the possible pairs of ratios in this triangle, we have considered. What in essence we have defined is the trig or trigonometric identities with respect to a right triangle. However, if you look at it, your most basic one is the sine of theta and cosine of theta. So sine of theta is opposite over hypotenuse. So that means this divided by this. And cosine of theta is adjacent over hypotenuse, which is adjacent over hypotenuse. And these are the two things that I want you to remember. Okay, if you remember these two, then you can derive everything else. Why? Tangent of theta is nothing but sine of theta divided by cosine of theta. And then cotangent of theta is the reciprocal of it, or 1 over tangent of theta. If you want to find secant of theta, you just find 1 over cosine of theta, because that's the same as secant theta. If you want to find cosecant of theta, you just do 1 over sine of theta. So if you just remember these two things, you are good to go. Okay? You will be able to find all the other trig identities. These are the definitions, these are the fundamentals of trig, the starting point. And I expect you to be able to remember it, kind of like visualize it in your head, how it works. Now, remember, everything is with respect to the theta, angle theta. Okay? If this were to be my angle theta or beta, whatever you call it, let's call it beta. Just to give you an example, my sine of beta is going to be opposite. Now my opposite is going to be this side, because opposite to angle beta. So it's going to be AB over hypotenuse, which stays the same, BC. So it's all with respect to the angle that you're considering, or cosine of theta. Now cosine of, not theta, I mean beta, right? Cosine of beta is going to be adjacent over hypotenuse. Now my adjacent is this side, AC over hypotenuse is BC. So remember, the angle that you take into consideration, everything is with respect to that angle, how adjacent or opposite is defined. I hope that this discussion was helpful, and hopefully this will help you remember the sine theta, cosine theta, tangent theta, cotangent, secant and cosecant theta definitions. Thank you very much.